Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, career practitioner and educator, and today we're going to have a really quick look, as quick as I possibly can, look at Morrisby. So I want you to actually make the most of your Morrisby profile and understand, I guess, how powerful it can be in helping you and supporting you in making decisions. What I will say to start off is that Morrisby is not the be all and end all. It's not telling you what to do, but it can be a really great way to just understand more about yourself, or for parents to understand your teens. And that's really valuable. And that's such an important part of the career development process. And then also, it's also a really great research tool. So I just want to tell you how to show you some really great ways to use it. And I would also say there's great ways that you can actually tap in and out of this throughout the next few years. So for some students, they may have done Morrisby in year 9. And for others, it's generally year 10. So there's a bit of variation. So it is really powerful to actually come back and look back at this in year 11 and 12, and you can update, particularly interest and things like that. So I think that's really important. So what I'm going to show you, so if you look at About Me and My Choices, they're the kind of two main sections. And we see aptitudes and we see all of these along the heading there that is really important. What a lot of students do, and particularly when we used to have the paper copy, they would go straight to career suggestions, look at them, and then just that's it, and that would be all. But it's yeah, but it's a little bit sad because there's a lot more information here that's important. So what we want to look at here with the aptitudes is the kind of relative strength. So what is your kind of unique makeup of your strengths? And remember, this cannot measure everything. It can't really measure your artistic talent, people that are really amazing communicators in person, things like that. So we just, of course, have to keep that in mind, but it is just still valuable to see kind of how you do compare, your verbal compared to your abstract and spatial and things like that. What I would say is that you can, the interpretation's really powerful. So you can read it and really get a good sense of your kind of strengths. And this is just a sample student. And then you can also click on each one. So if the student is a little bit like, oh, which test was that? Or what was that measuring? So abstract in terms of your kind of charts and understanding complex problems. So often kind of science and maths related students, would have kind of higher abstract. But yeah, it's just kind of their unique combination of strengths is important to look at there. Then we can look at interest. And this is, as I was saying before, in a year or two, you can retake the questionnaire, and that's really important because I do think interest changed a lot, particularly from year 9 to year 11 or year 10 to 11 and even year 12. I'll often ask year 12s to jump in and redo the interest if they haven't done it since they took it. But it just gives you a really good snapshot of where your kind of interests do lie, if there's any special career interest here. So sometimes like music or design can be listed there as well. But it just gives you a quick snapshot. And if you retake it, you might see a very different kind of pattern as well. This is just, I'm going to go over this super quickly, but I'd just say have a read of this. I think it's important. This is coming out of, where you see yourself in kind of, I guess, a career role. And I do think this would change over time. Obviously, year 9 and 10, probably not necessarily thinking about leadership, but as you got more experience in roles, maybe that's something you look at. But this is more just kind of naturally what students are kind of leaning towards as well. This just gives a bit of a snapshot of the student and their preferences, personality. So, I think understanding yourself, this is a really big component. And I think this little detail and description, really, most students feel really seen, and the parents totally agree when they read this, that really does kind of feel like them. What I would say in terms of career decision making, it's not necessarily going to be, this means that you're going to be, great at this or great at that, but it is worth understanding that, if your preference and, if you're really suited to a really structured environment and you're moving into something that's not like that at all, there might be a little bit of kind of friction there, and maybe it's your enjoyment in your workplace, or maybe it's actually just changing workplaces. Even if it's the same role, it's actually the actual workplace itself and not the job role that you need to change. So listen, it's just good to know and understanding your kind of personality type and how that kind of plays out in the world, and how that kind of meets informs career decision making as well. So how do you learn best? This is always interesting. You can have a look if you're more conceptual or more practical. And when you're looking at subjects, that's something to really consider, because some would be more practical than others. Some will be more theoretical. There's obviously vet and vocational studies for more practical as well. This is also just how students approach kind of solving problems. So are they kind of in the detail, or are they kind of bigger picture thinkers? Or this student, as an example, is right in the middle. And this student is more kind of leaning towards independent working rather than kind of group. And we often see that with introverts. Obviously, they lean more towards independent, and the extroverts towards team. So there's no real surprise there. Now, when you do the test, so a lot of students may not have done this unless they've gone back in. So when you're looking over your results, if you haven't done that, you can take 5 minutes to do this. This is really important. So this is basically values, and you can redo these at any time as well. But is it actually being able to travel? Is it actually making money? Is it making a difference? What are the key priorities for you? And it basically puts it in a bar graph, and you can see kind of in black and white what's important to you. Now, this can obviously change, obviously over time, depending on life circumstances and things like that. But it is really good to see what's driving your decisions. And if you're looking at careers and job choice, how these kind of align with your priorities. And this is just such an important thing throughout your career. Study interest will give you so this student has done that. So they've taken 10 minutes to do that survey. So you can just go in and do that. And it's given them some courses here that you can see. But I will show you another section that you can kind of also do that. But you can retake that questionnaire at any stage as well. Now I'm going to move on to my choices. And this is what students generally remember. And these are the career suggestions. So like remember in the students' kind of aptitudes, they did have strengths kind of in those kind of science areas, and they were also kind of areas of interest. So there's quite a few science related areas here. Now this has given the qualification level of advanced diploma to associate degree. So that's not a full bachelor. So if that's the case and you're looking to study at university, there's lots of different pathways to university. So you may get in, there may be all different ATAR ranges, but there's also pathways you can do a diploma to get into the bachelor. So what I would always recommend, if that's the case and you want to study at uni, is always make sure you click on obtain a degree if it hasn't given you at least that degree level, because it'll just give you all of your options. So then we can see all of our options here. We can do a few things here. So we can click on each one and it will give us a rundown. It will give us videos and people talking about that career, thinking about the skills that are going to be important in that type of role. And remember, you're going to be at university and studying. You're not going to be going straight into these jobs as well. And then, it's scrolling up. But basically then there's requirements, there's pathways, there's also, I'll try another one. I think it's just my screen sharing. It's not happy with me. Right down the bottom, it has related careers. And I think that's also, if something's of interest, be like, not quite right. Right down the bottom, there's related careers. I think there's either 6 or 8 that you can look at it. And they may be careers that are not actually in your suggested either. So it's a really good one to look at. If there are any you're not interested in, what I would say is just bin them. They're not gone forever, so you can always find them in the bin and take them out of the bin. But the good thing is it will then just push up more results that you can kind of look at. And if you don't like them, just bin them. If there's anything you're interested in and you're liking the look of, you can favorite them just to keep them. So I'd definitely do that. If there's something you've considered that's not on your list at all, you can also search for it here. So yeah, really use this. It's a really great research tool. There's also links to kind of industry associations. There's Seek links to real-time jobs just under this. So yeah, really use this. It's quite a powerful kind of resource to do career research as well. Um, the other tab is further studies. And what you can do is just click on study options. And it will give you a whole range of kind of course areas that you can look at as well. And if you're interested in more apprenticeships or what it might be, there's links to resources there as well. Once again, if you click on it, you will see a whole range of information. If we go back to my choices, there's also a normally you will have, maybe it's because I've got a sample student, but you'll also have subjects listed there as well. And basically the subjects, it'll give you a suggested, I guess, subjects that are in line with your aptitudes and interests, and a bit of a bar in terms of how kind of connected they are to you. So you can definitely, yeah, use that as well. And that will sit just next to careers. So certainly have a look at that. And if you're having your Morrisby chat with a career practitioner, you'll probably have had looked at that already, but that's just something to consider. Now, if your career is lower, obviously these are really high, 85%. If it's kind of 20%, 30%, it might be just a point in time. It's not to say you can't do that job or career at all, but it might be, I guess, a bit of a stop and think, why is it so kind of low, across my kind of profile? So maybe I've said I don't want to work outside and it involves a lot of outside. Maybe there is a really high amount of kind of verbal involved and I was a little bit lower on verbal. So it may just mean that, some aspects of the job are going to be challenging, and that's totally okay. If it's still within, your capabilities and things like that, and if you've got the drive to kind of, do those areas. So it's just a kind of a point in time. And what Morrisby is overall is a really great kind of discussion starter, conversation starter to ask questions, to actually prompt you to research further, to go out and actually seek more information from people in industries you're interested in, doing subjects you're interested in, doing courses you're interested in. So really just kind of start those conversations and that research kind of happening. It might just cross some things off your list once you find out more about it, and that's okay too. So please just use it. It's not, I don't like hearing Morrisby told me to do this or that. It's really just suggestions based on a test in one point in time, and that's the other thing. So it's just a test in one point in time. There may have been areas that, you misunderstood it and things like that. So just take it for what it is. But as I said, you can certainly update most of the sections other than aptitudes. If you've just done the testing and there is an area that you totally messed up, your career practitioner at your school can actually reset, and you can actually go and do that part again if you wanted to. But generally for most students, I would just suggest kind of redoing your priorities, redoing your interests, over the next couple of years as well. And then getting out there and doing all of your research as well. So any questions, let me know. Hope that was helpful.